Caroline Poynton today from Bury, Manchester, is recording Dan Watch from YouTube. I am not copywriting, I am paying attention. Thanks very much.
No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wood, and this is Outspoken episode number 360. And breaking today, the shocking true cost of Islamist Britain has been exposed as the coup against Slippery Starmer is underway to make Shabana Mahmood the first Muslim Prime Minister of the disunited kingdom.
Islam, my own religion, like a lot of practicing Muslims, my faith is the most important thing in my life. It is the absolute driver of everything that I do. I feel a very strong calling of my own conscience, and my conscience calls me to God.
But the MSM is not telling you the truth
Conscience.
about the real reason the left of Labour
haven't
wants
got
to take care out as soon as possible in order to neutralise the threat from the Greens and Cormans Islamist mob. But we shouldn't be surprised, given they are not reporting the Islamist warnings to our way of life at all. Like the fact young Muslim Sarah Sharif was tortured to death by her Pakistani father after a catalogue of blunders by authorities who missed bruises under her hijab because they were afraid of being called racist.
The review, which has been released in just the last few moments, finds that from social services to the NHS and educational authorities, the system failed Sarah. It said she should never have been placed in the care of her father and stepmother, describing the killers
Social services should have took it away, but they take my little girl away, look.
What are those safeguarding officials afraid of when they fail to take action?
Oh, I'll tell you what it'll be. You know as well as I do, Miriam. It's the R word.
They're fear that they'll be called racist.
Racism, that's what it'll be. It'll be racism.
And as we come to air today, there is a new lobbying effort to see the ISIS...
Well, they should have grown up, because I would have rather have been called racist than that little girl dying.
Public revulsion to the idea.
Don't you think? Sticks and stones will break your fucking bones. That little girl's life can't be replaced no more.
He left for Syria.
And they were more bothered about being called racist than sticking up for that little girl and saving her life. Terrible.
We are not having her back, okay? End of story.
End of story, but they're doing it anyway.
TV star has
she's going to become the professional.
Ranks. And in all of this silence that has surrounded the
and then they're going to make us feel
Mike
sorry for
Graham,
her.
with popular presenter Russell Quirk slamming station bosses over their handling of the controversy and suggesting it could result in the eventual closure of talk.
Because I don't believe that what Mike has done
as if nobody else has suffered in the world.
Anyway, particularly when you are the presenter, as Mike was, of the most successful show on that channel, The Breakfast Show from 6
and
to
Mike's
10.
gone.
I do think there's an irony to someone
on Talk TV, because they're just bastards.
Media channels that talks about an opinion which also relates
Jeremy
to
Kyle can go fuck off. I'm not watching him ever again. He kept coming on today and I turned him off all day. I'm not going to watch him ever again.
But that in that person's
type of person,
own
is
time,
it?
they say something that later on then
that looks stick up for your friends.
Boot from their job. The commercial implications of what's happened here, I'm afraid, I think now put a big question mark, not over just the commercial viability of talk itself, but also its very future.
But News UK insiders are hitting back on what they claim is the real reason why Mike Graham was fired. So we'll get into all of it with our superstar panel shortly. Nick Buckley, MBE, author of the brilliant book Anglophobia,
they do on purpose and then they try and get away with it by calling you racist or something else.
From Amazon. And Pink Ladies campaigner Sarah White, who recently defected from Reform UK to Advance UK. Also coming up on the show today, Donald Trump slams the British Fashion Corporation as a leftist propaganda machine as its crooked and corrupt news division proves the point with the lies being spread about Restore Britain leader Rupert Lowe, who isn't taking it lying down.
Doing the fucking doing that now to Rupert Lowe now, look, again.
Legend and icon in
dirty bastards.
As his deranged and truly despicable hard left politics have gone too far. Then, in the uncancelled after show on Substack, growing fallout between the Kardashians and the Sussexes over Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's ludicrous reaction to photos being released from Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, well, it's all turned toxic now, so we're going to reveal the truth about the briefing and the counter-briefing with the return of Lady Colin Campbell. That is in the Outspoken after show over on Substack after this main show, www.outspoken.live if you want to watch. We'll also reveal a brand new Greatest Britain and GD Jackass before we go today, so make sure you stay with us. Here are your nominees for the worst Britain in the world today. If you're watching live, you can vote right now in the YouTube chat section. Tony Blair, nominated by
Tony fucking Blair, yeah, King Charles should be with him.
3 million times every time
They want me together, Tony Blair and King Charles.
With this man, anything he wants is disastrous for us, so just say no to Blair.
Together.
Nominated by Darren Donaldson, the Scottish Labour leader, for calling you racist again and spewing facts that we know in his angry style. Good luck, Scotland. We have our racist MPs down here, but yours
that's all they throw out to people.
And Ed Davey, the Liberal Democrat leader, nominated by Jamie Kendrick, for calling for the sacking of Robbie Gibb, even though it doesn't change the facts about BBC bias. So there are your 3 nominees today. Get voting. There's some breaking news about the British Bashing Corporation and Donald Trump, which I'm going to bring you later in the show too. So stick around. Let's go.
Let's get into it.
The mainstream media isn't telling you the truth
because it always
about the coup against Slippery Starmer's Britain's failed Prime Minister, which has burst into the open this week. Certainly it's disastrous for our worst and most unpopular leader in history, whose phase 3 is oblivion. But the decision to protect the coup leader, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, and instead throw the Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who doesn't have a hope in hell of convincing the hard left and Labour to make him leader, well, it's purposeful. And as this new graphic shows, Mahmood is exactly where she wants to be.
Right under Keir
Very much in
Starmer's
contention, but allowing Streeting and Andy Burnham to take the heat for bringing down a democratically elected Prime Minister.
Yeah, we can have
Mark my words,
woman,
though,
female,
this
fucking
coup
Muslim
against
one now.
Starmer has Islamist roots, as Labour is being obliterated on the hard left by the openly Islamist Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana mob, and tit whisperers at Polanski's soaring Green
And I
Party.
would say I don't fucking
Mahmood,
think so.
in the view of
Mahmood,
Labour leftists, is the woman who can change all of that.
Yeah,
Islam,
get out,
my
do one.
religion.
Shut up.
Like a lot of practicing Muslims, my faith is the most important
Your favourite one is
in
yourself.
my life. It is the
You couldn't give a fuck about
absolute
no one
driver
else
of
apart from
everything that
yourself.
I do. I
You
feel
didn't do
very
nothing for that little girl, like I've said
calling of my
already.
own conscience, and my conscience
Your
calls me
conscience.
to God.
The Spectator reported that others claim Shabana Mahmood is also a favourite for the top job. Angela Rayner and Miliband's name have also cropped up. And Politico added that the Telegraph's Ben Riley-Smith picked up last night on some heat heading the Home Secretary's way too, amid claims from Keir's supporters that she is also plotting to replace him. A Mahmood ally told the paper this was nonsense, coming from one big number 10 operation to shore up Starmer's position, but some noticed that the focus on Streeting versus Starmer may assist Mahmood, who is increasingly talked about alongside the Health Secretary as a potential future leader.
Oh, here we go. See what
Interstate right, Labour peer and Blue Labour lad Maurice Glassman, a big fan of the Home Secretary, on Newsnight where he slagged off Streeting as a Blairite apparatchik out of the student union and described Mahmood as the only one of really genuine quality of the whole lot. Look at this moment.
About that bitch. Mahmood.
Is this Home Secretary the right woman to address some of those issues?
For me, absolutely. I mean, she's the only one of really genuine quality of the whole lot. But she's got a job to do. She's got to stop the boat. She's got to sort out the prisons. So at the moment, I'm not in favour of any change to the Prime Minister and full support for Shabana Mahmood in the work she's doing.
Okay.
Wes Streeting is a very new Labour. I absolutely dispute Nick that he's the closest person to Keir Starmer. He's a Blairite apparatchik out the student union, so all they know is leadership battles and motions and things like this. It's of no relevance whatsoever.
Well, they're from
But of
Keir
course, the
Starmer
Mahmood
got
angle
fucking bust now,
completely ignored in a truly dire lineup of newspaper front pages for Starmer today. It looks like editors have finally accepted this bloke is a lame duck. So there on the front of the Times, the PM told to fire top aid as civil war hits later. The Daily Mail says at last a ray of hope. The ousted PM will trigger an election. There's the Telegraph. Streeting goes to war with number 10. The Metro very much backs with Streeting as a faithful and damning on the front of the Express. Desperate PM in office, but not in power. However, I was much more interested in the national front page out of Scotland. Sarwar's silence. The Scottish Labour leader fails to back PM as coup rumours fly.
Against each other.
Why would Sarwar fail to back Starmer? Given he has made it clear he does not want white men in power and would welcome a Muslim in number 10.
Yeah, of course he would.
Now, why is that a threat, some of you may ask? Well, because as we've seen with the election of Mamdani in New York, and the Sharia courts operating up and down the UK, there is an increasing attempt to replace civil law with Sharia law. It's a takeover. And the MSM just shrugged off Woke ITV's Good Morning Britain presenter Adil Ray advocating for Sharia in the past week. They've also ignored this chilling declaration of a takeover just this week by Corbyn's sectarian MP Iqbal Muhammad.
These events, these activities, this unity must grow and continue and take over not just parts of Birmingham, but the whole of Birmingham, the whole of the West Midlands, the whole of the UK. Grassroots democracy in action. And we, our communities, have shown the establishment and the rest of the country that we will not be taken for granted, and we will think. The establishment know that if you let one person stand up to them and speak the truth to people about what power is doing to them, then more people will stand up, and there will come a point when we all stand up against oppression, against injustice, and against corruption in politics. You see the power of solidarity. You see the power of solidarity, the power of all of us together. Individually, we may feel helpless, lonely, often frightened. Together, nothing can stop us. No tyrant can rule us. No party, government, or dictator can demand from us subservience. Together, we are powerful. Remember that and take that message onto the streets of Birmingham and share it with every single person you know in this country and abroad.
As James Price responded, once again, I am incredibly grateful to the Islamist MP Iqbal Muhammad for being honest, to say that he wants to take over the whole of the UK. It's very good that he is telling us exactly what he wants to happen. We are now all better informed about how we should respond to this. And respond, we must. Indeed, we need to do more than that. We need to fight for our Christian values, or more people will die. Which tragically is exactly what happened with Sarah Sharif.
A review into the murder of 10-year-old Sarah Sharif by her father and stepmother in Woking in 2023 has found that council staff tried to check on Sarah's welfare the day before she died, but they went to the wrong address. She had been beaten, hooded and burned in the weeks before her death. The review of Surrey Council's involvement with Sarah found that the last opportunity to save her was missed because the council used her old address.
The findings of a damning new independent report into the death of 10-year-old Sarah Sharif. The review, which has been released in just the last few moments, finds that from social services to the NHS and educational authorities, the system failed Sarah. It said she should never have been placed in the care of her father and stepmother, describing the killers as a lethal combination. Sarah was murdered by her father, Irfan Sharif, and stepmother, in August 2023.
Okay.
In fact, I could have had both of them little girls.
Those corrupted MSM sources have actually missed the real story, outlined here by Bernice Boffel.
Yeah.
A beautiful little girl tortured to death by her father. Sad. It's reported authorities missed her injuries because they didn't want to be called racist for asking her to remove her hijab. I don't care.
Do you know what? They want firing for that.
How many other girls and women are hiding abuse in this way? As the Daily Mail headline the story, "Too woke to save Sarah Sharif." And they report that Sarah was tortured to death by her father after a catalogue of blunders by authorities who missed bruises under her hijab as they feared causing offence. The 10-year-old was beaten to death by Irfan Sharif after the risk posed by the serial domestic abuser was overlooked, not acted on, and underestimated by almost all professionals, despite his 16-year history of attacking women and children, according to a damning safeguarding review. An act of brutality described by a judge as the worst crime he had ever encountered.
Yeah, I've done fuck all wrong to my little girl, and yet I'm not allowed any contact.
She's been adopted wrongly by false pedo services before being battered with a cricket bat, metal pole,
I'm not allowed to see her, but yet he was allowed near his little girl to murder her.
With an iron and bitten.
Social pedo services have
now a
lots of
safeguarding review has identified a catalogue of missed opportunities to rescue Sarah, including different actions could and should have been taken, and the system failed to keep her safe. Mistakes included failing to probe why the Muslim schoolgirl was suddenly wearing a hijab, as professionals feared causing offence. The blistering report identifies how professionals failed to join the dots, as evidence of Sharif's extensive domestic abuse was lost within the system. Inexperienced social workers under pressure to be speedy did not carry out basic checks. Safeguarding processes were not followed, and home visits were delayed with fatal consequences.
And now she's dead.
Now, at least GB News and Talk TV did cover the real story today of this outrageous
tragedy. Madeline, what are those safeguarding officials afraid of when they fail to take action?
Oh, I'll tell you what it'll be. You know as well as I do, Miriam. It's the R word.
They're afraid that they'll be called racist.
They should be in the job day, sticks and stones should break your
bones.
bones.
A white British family, they would have not hesitated to intervene.
So they shouldn't be in the fucking job if they're scared of that. If you're scared, because they're scared to be called racist, there shouldn't be any job at all for it then, should they? Why did they take my little girl away from me, only not scared of being racist because I'm English?
I mean, this should have been a police
So what's that
case before
bullying?
it was a death. You know, the trouble is social services seem to be like the police now.
Yeah.
The police seem to hand it over to social services.
Taking kids away when there's no need and leaving children where they are. So when there is a need.
Depending where you live,
This is why we have social services for little girls like that, not for my little girl that doesn't need to be
they
there.
are all working remote.
The neighbours of Sarah Sharif did not report
I wish I
concerns
could
about
have that
her
little
that she
girl
was
with
being
mine.
abused.
I'd have looked after my little girl and that little girl, and they would have had a good life together. I would treat them exactly the same.
The review of what happened failing to
That's because I'm not racist.
to murder and attempt to murder all those girls.
That's because I have a heart and a care, whereas Shamir Mood couldn't give a fuck about that little girl, even if she's a Muslim or not. She couldn't give a fuck about anyone else either. Like King Charles, or selfish bastard.
Security guard who stopped that, who saw the bomber, saw a baby with the rucksack, and thought, what are you doing here with your big rucksack?
Should have got a
at a
slap off his
concert
Queen
with those
Elizabeth.
little girls, Mariani Grande.
I thought she would have
Didn't
gone
say
with she
anything
was
because she
shit
didn't want
when
to
she
be
brought
accused
to
of
the
being
child
racist or
the way
something.
he is.
So once
And
again,
miserable.
same issues where this wasn't stopped, it wasn't prevented because of PC concerns.
Fucking
the suicidal
pedo,
empathy of those in charge of our country means there is now a renewed focus on doing things to purposefully damage us, to purposefully destroy us.
Yep, to
like
destroy us.
returning Shamima Begum,
Yep, why do
Britain's
they want her
most
back
famous
here?
ISIS bride, and a traitor who is
Make
no
us
longer one of
feel
us,
sorry for her now.
either legally or morally, back to our
I don't feel sorry
country.
for her. I got trafficked
The
out
mere
here.
concept of that
My
has
little girl's
caused
been adopted
widespread
wrongly. Why would I
revulsion
feel
for
sorry for
years
that?
for very obvious reasons.
Is she going to come and feel sorry for me? My little girl. Are you going to come and feel sorry for me and my little girl, bitch? Be fuck.
What did you like about
Fuck off.
The way they showed how you can go, they'll take care
I
of
don't
you,
care. I
you
don't
have
want to
your
know,
family
love.
there, you can-
I don't feel sorry for her. I don't feel anything.
You're living under Islamic law.
Yeah, we can live there now, can't you, under that? Because you've done that to us.
Did you know?
We've got that here now in England because of people like you, love.
You left for Syria because they had beheaded people. There were executions.
Yeah, I knew about those things, and I was okay with it.
Yeah.
At first, because I started becoming religious.
You were alright with it, you didn't care.
You know.
Out for people
from
being
what I
hurt.
heard, that Islamically that is all allowed. So.
Children, parents, people.
You didn't question that?
Nope, she didn't. She's a selfish bitch.
Okay.
That don't
No,
say
she went with
fuck
what
off.
is being taught in mosques throughout East London even now. But she cannot come back. Is it a surprise, though, given Slippery Starmer's personal view?
I think the decision was by the Home Secretary was the wrong decision, and I think it was a rushed decision. I think it left out of account the interests of the newly born child who tragically died. Had the interests of the child been taken properly into account, I think we would see that this was a wrong decision and a rushed decision.
What about my little girl being taken into account? And me?
Ken did a lot of cases as I did.
Or anybody else being taken into an account?
Back here, I think what he says is right. I think actually the Home Secretary needs to come to Parliament tomorrow and make a statement on this and face questions. I think that's the right thing to do in the circumstances as they now are, because I think there is a growing feeling that this decision wasn't properly made.
You motherfucker.
So again, I'm not at all surprised.
I'm not.
That in the past few hours,
Because he's a twat.
we have a disgraceful deep state recommendation.
She was allowed to do that to Manchester Arena, and she's allowed to walk back in.
Shamima Begum, the Islamic State bride, should be allowed back into Britain.
No, I don't think so.
A review of counter-terrorism policy has found. Begum, 26, was stripped of her British citizenship after fleeing London at the age of 15 to join ISIS. She's currently living in a detention camp in Syria. However,
is she going to come
the
and feel sorry for me?
Commission on UK Counter-Terrorism
Is she going to feel sorry for when they traffic my little girl out
review
on the fucking street?
that she and other British
She's only
people
30.
held
She'll be
in
only
Syrian
30. She's
camps
11 now.
should be repatriated. They said the camps risk being seen as Britain's Guantanamo, a reference to the US detention facility at Guantanamo Bay,
I'm sorry, but I
Cuba,
think feeling
which
sorry
was
for
used
someone of that
indefinitely
both ways,
to
don't
hold
it? Things like
Al-Qaeda
that
suspects
does
in the US
work
after
two
the
ways.
September 11th attacks on the
It's not
US.
just one way. It shouldn't be
The
just a
Commission,
one-way system.
which included, and listen to this deep state list, Dominic Grieve, the hopeless former Attorney General, Saeed Avazi, the hopeless former Tory chair,
Yeah,
and
all of
Sophia
them,
Fahey,
all
the former
hopeless
Manchester
bastards.
police chief,
Why?
warned
Because of King
that
Charles.
the UK's current policy of resisting repatriation was unsustainable and inconsistent with the UK's international human rights obligations.
Yeah.
Conditions in the camps constitute inhuman and degrading treatment. The experiences of women and children under ISIS were complex and varied, with many being victims of coercion, trafficking and sexual exploitation, while others may have actively supported the organisation, said the Commission. International evidence shows that repatriation is practically possible with largely positive outcomes and manageable security concerns. Countries implementing systematic repatriation demonstrate that return prosecution, where appropriate, and rehabilitation programs can effectively manage risks while upholding human rights. The UK's reluctance to repatriate has made it an outlier among comparable jurisdictions and may ultimately prove counterproductive to long-term security interests.
Yeah.
Now, all of this Islamist threat, Shamima Begum, Sarah Sharif,
all of them.
hijabs, hiding,
They're
the
all
most
together.
revolting form of abuse, is why, and let me repeat this, Shabana Mahmood's admittance that she puts Islam above anything else in her day-to-day life should rule her out of succeeding Slippery Starmer as Prime Minister. Again, just watch her words, please.
I don't like him. I'd rather have Starmer at the moment. Fuck off, bitch. I don't want Angela Rayner either. She's just as bad as you, woman. She's got nothing to do with colour or race. It's to do with both of you.
Of everything that I do.
To do with that, you didn't even do anything for that little girl.
My own conscience. And
Your own conscience, you're horrible.
Now,
she should have one for that little girl, mate. She doesn't. She was a little Muslim girl. And that lady doesn't even have
Sarah
no
White
fucking
and Nick Buckley,
anything.
both with me. Nick Buckley, Shabana Mahmood says Islam is the absolute driver of everything she does. Everything she does. And she's now the favourite to replace Keir Starmer, even though the mainstream media are trying to protect her and are using Wes Streeting as the stalking horse. Do you feel comfortable in a Christian country to have someone who puts Islam ahead of everything else as Prime Minister?
We've already had a Hindu as Prime Minister, and it wasn't that long ago that you couldn't be a Prime Minister if you was a Catholic, and that wasn't that long ago. What we need the press to do is we need the press to ask her certain questions. Do you remember the grilling that the leader of the Lib Dems got? Was it Tim something? I forget his name now. He was a devout Christian, and the press hounded him to say that being gay was a sin, and they hounded and hounded. I want the same sort of questions now directed at her. What does she mean by I'm a Muslim, I follow, this, that?
They won't ask her that.
Anything to anybody.
They won't question that.
She needs to be asked some serious questions. Is homosexuality a sin? Is it okay to own a slave? Is it okay to rape? Is it okay to have sex with a 9-year-old and marry a 6-year-old?
Is it alright for fucking that little girl to die and lose her life?
We need brave reporters to ask
and
her
any
so
other
we
kid
know
to lose their
exactly
life.
What strain,
or anyone
what
else to
type
lose
of
their life
Muslim
because
she
of it.
is. But to answer your question clearly, I don't mind if someone is a Prime Minister and has a different religion, is not Christian, but they need to understand and need to admit this is a Christian country. But I want to know what she means by I'm a Muslim.
Yeah, and the fact that it's the driver of everything she does, Sarah White. Now, I don't feel comfortable about that in a Christian country. And I feel we're very weak
she should be even
to
allowed.
speak out against this here in the United Kingdom, whereas in the US, for example, with the election of Mamdani as the new
pretending
mayor,
the British are not
were
British
actually
unless
quite
they're born
prepared
off the
to
British
say,
islands.
actually, it's
Unless
just
you're
not
born on the
compatible.
British fucking
It's just
island
not
and you ain't
compatible in a
British.
Christian
Unless you've got
country to
British
have
parents
Islam
that are
either.
born on the islands, then you ain't British.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable
I'm
with
English,
it
I'm
either.
not
And
British.
for somebody to say that they
It's
put
because
their
I don't have anybody
religion
outside
as
my
the
family
driver
that's
of
born
everything
in
that they
Britain.
do. Well,
Well,
how
born
does
in
she
England, so that makes me
interpret the
English,
Muslim
not
faith?
British.
Because we all know that many Muslims interpret it in many
So where have they
different
got
ways.
that from? There's their education
like Nick
fucked
just
up
said,
already.
is she comfortable with
They don't
a
even know where they
grown
come
man
from.
marrying a child? That's not a Christian belief.
No.
And I do think that it should be people who are born and bred in this country that have Christian morals and beliefs should be in places of power. If you are going to, I'm not saying that non-Muslims can't go into power, however, if that is your main driver,
then you shouldn't be allowed.
I'm not comfortable with what decisions you're going to make for our country.
And that's what she's just admitted. That is the problem.
And we should be allowed to decide that we don't like the decisions that
the
we
mainstream
make.
media is just ignoring every single threat of Islam. And this
Some decisions where they might make,
today,
they might be really good
Nick
ones, and we
Buckley,
might say,
the
oh, I like them.
line
And some are not nice, so we should be allowed to say that.
And
we don't agree with
congratulations,
that one,
by the
or we
way,
agree
to the
with that
Daily
one.
Mail and Talk TV
No,
and
that's not
GB
right.
News,
Yeah, that's
which
right,
were
you know.
prepared to report on this. But did you notice, Nick?
Yep.
It was completely
Yep, she hadn't
ignored by
reported
the British
on it.
Fashion Corporation and Sly News
Yep.
in their reportage. The most important thing is that the reason the officials were not prepared to follow up was because they were scared that if they asked what was really under her hijab, why she was really wearing a hijab, they would be accused of racism. And that is this toxic woke mind virus, which is literally killing people. It killed people at the Manchester Arena when the security guard was too scared to approach the
Shamir they want fucking Shamir laws in. That's going to harm that little girl like other little girls like that little girl.
As a result.
This is a great example of our two-tier system. 3, 4, 5.
She was a child. She shouldn't have had to wear that. She shouldn't have to wear that in this country. She is a child. They should not be allowed to do anything like that to children. Any child. From wherever they're born or whatever.
Their jobs and their careers ahead of her.
I was going to say, children shouldn't be indoctrinated like that to be wearing that.
With more laws, more legislation, training courses. It's to hold those people accountable. It's to sack some of them who failed. We never sack
anyone. We don't prosecute them.
They're always protected.
We don't get we don't get prosecuted. We don't sack them. We don't do anything.
People need sacking.
I was going to say they need sacking. They need to go over what they've done to that little girl. The cowards.
There's a girl in front of me who you know, has got a hijab on or has a different costume,
and she should not be allowed to. She shouldn't be indoctrinated to have to wear that.
Called racist.
No child should be.
I know that if
it's religion or not, I don't care. They should not be allowed to indoctrinate children to have to do that.
Because my job and my pension is more important to me. Therefore, I will be called racist. I don't mind that now. But
no, I would have been called racist and saved that little girl's life if I was a social worker. A little girl could still be here if she had a social worker like me.
In this country, we have young black men dying.
Because I would have said something, I wouldn't allow that to carry on, even if they wanted to call me racist or not. I wouldn't be a coward. I'd rather say sticks and stones will break my bones. I am not racist, but I am saving this little girl's life.
Young black men die in pools of their own blood and rather be called hurty names. It's all the same problem. It's a two-tier system.
It's the same as a grooming gang. It's the same as all of it. And yet little girls like that now. But now because they're bringing more and more Islamic phobia, and it's what I've said about that little girl. After they bring all these rules in, I don't think some of the Muslims want all them rules because they'll have to be living
in your case, sorry, it was young white
directly
women
at the side of
being
it,
attacked
and
outside
they'll
the
have to
hotel in Epping, Essex.
You know,
but
different
here
how
is
they've
a
been living
young
here in the
Muslim girl
Yeah.
who was completely let down
by
the state.
And
it's just as bad.
And Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan and Shamir Mood, they're Muslims and they should have been dealing with that.
Predominantly Pakistani men.
Well, they should have been dealing with that, shouldn't they, as being Muslims?
Girls. But that's because that's coming to light because these women are being so brave
she didn't know. She fucking did know, Shamir.
However, in the Pakistani community, I wonder what is going on in there because they are told they can't speak out. It's something to be shameful for. So we also are protecting, or we want to protect these women and children as well, because we know that it does go on in their community, but it is all brushed under the carpet, hush hush, no one's
and that's what I've been saying.
Coming from a culture that they think it's acceptable to marry someone as young as 6 and sleep with someone just because she started her periods, that is totally unacceptable, and that is a mind that is undeveloped at the end of the day. They're from a culture that is not evolved or developed.
Exactly, and it's just not acceptable for us in the West, and it shouldn't be.
And we shouldn't.
But this is why they want Sharia courts, and why you see people like Adil Ray trying to soften us. You know, Sharia courts, they're really compassionate. I mean, what planet are you on, mate?
He's a racist.
And then we've got the Shamima Begum campaign, and they're never going to arrest the members of the deep state. Where do you both stand on Begum? Do either of you want her back?
No.
Definitely not.
Absolutely not. Not because if she comes back here she'll be a threat, because the odds are she probably won't be a threat. But we need to start thinking of the future. What's the message are we sending to tomorrow?
So come here, blow us up, and it's alright, get everything fucking free.
It's okay to be a traitor.
Yeah, it's alright to be a murderer, kill your babies and everything else, kill people's children, and then make everybody feel sorry for you because your children died as well.
No.
But she killed everybody else's children. No. She's going to come and feel sorry for me.
There's no punishment at all. You make that decision, and I don't care how old
you do what you do, and then there's no punishment. Yeah. Can I do that?
Some of the
Not that I was going to do anything like that. I would never dare.
Possibly witness.
I am saying if I went and did something like that, not that I never dare to do anything like that. I wouldn't have.
And our country,
I wouldn't have the courage. I wouldn't have the brain for it to go and murder somebody.
And it's got to stop.
Literally, I couldn't
and people do need to be held accountable.
Them ways, in any of them sort of ways.
I would never want that woman back in this country ever again.
The only way I'd ever harm someone would be self-defence.
The migrant fallout grows for Talk TV.
I couldn't just go out and start stabbing someone or
on the station speaks
kicking
out,
someone and beating someone. I just couldn't do
that. For silence,
even when I'm so angry, even when I've been angry at like Dad. And I felt like I wanted to go and strangle him. I got thought I wanted to do
who have leaked to the Daily
damage
Express
to him.
The real reason Mike
not that I ever would go and do that.
And I'm going to take you through that reporting
and I don't blame myself for what I did
as I know them in just one moment. Plus, show you everything in
it
this
wouldn't give me the right to go and do that, then, would it? Just because of what he did to me.
A star of Mike Graham's Plan for the Week, a regular
host
I like
Mike
on the station, who says the way that this has been mishandled by bosses mean that it's probably not going to survive.
Nope.
But in case you missed it yesterday, here is how Julia Hartley-Brewer broke the news to furious listeners who are now engaging in a massive boycott of Talk TV.
Yeah. I don't like that. Alex, I don't like her no more.
Of the station Talk has made the following statement. Their statement reads as follows: "We were made aware of an abhorrent and vile post on Mike Graham's social platform several weeks ago. Mike Graham said this was not posted by him, and he agreed to cooperate with the company investigation using an independent forensic firm. He later reneged on several opportunities to cooperate with the company investigation. We have been gravely concerned at his repeated failure to cooperate on such a serious matter, and the decision
why don't you boycott it, love? What's wrong with you?
That Mike Graham will not return to Talk."
Your own life's more important than anybody else's life.
And now,
selfish bastards.
with Mark Dolan replacing Mike Graham in the lineup, a TV insider is fighting back, revealing the real reason why Mike Graham was fired from Talk TV after nearly 20 years.
That's the real reason.
To the Daily Express
So it wasn't. He's not done anything wrong.
Desperate bid.
He's not done nothing wrong. They just wanted to paint it out like he had.
So they report a source from News UK, the parent company of Talk TV, has given an insight into the real reason behind Graham's removal.
Like I say, sticks and
they
stones will break
exclusively
your
told the
bones.
Express Mike Graham had to go. He claimed that his phone had been hacked, but everyone was sceptical of that explanation. He claimed that someone had hacked his Facebook account.
I think somebody probably
but
has.
also hacked his iCloud and posted the
someone hacked my fucking YouTube
News
account.
UK bosses gave him the benefit of the doubt and told him they would allow Mike and his legal
Someone's hacked my
representation to
things
stand
before,
the
so
room
like you said,
with two
surprised.
forensic phone experts who would be able to go through his phone and figure out if he was actually hacked, who hacked the phone, and what else they accessed. While Mike initially agreed to submitting his phone, he didn't turn up on the agreed date and time. So News UK gave him another date. And again, Mike did not turn up. This happened 4 times. 4 times he refused to hand over his phone. So News UK took the decision to end their working relationship with him. Mike was told he was sacked by the big boss, and they explained the reason behind the decision. Now, at the end of the day,
it wasn't real decision,
that's certainly not what I'm hearing.
Nope.
From Mike, who engaged one of Britain's top legal teams to protect him.
Good.
Because, of course, how on earth can you trust a company, especially a company known for the biggest phone hacking operation in British history, to actually treat this information contained on the phone, which Mike is very clear includes journalistic communications that needed to remain private.
I was going to say, they've probably done that.
He trusts that that will remain secure. Now, there's been a huge reaction, of course, to the
hack
news.
Someone. How do you know how to hack
even
someone
celebrities like Christine Hamilton weighed in, saying Talk TV must have a death wish.
There's a couple of them in there.
They are mad to let you go, just like
earlier BBC, they look like
he's thriving
elsewhere,
and so will you. And
now,
now,
they look like
a
fucking
first
weirdos,
chink in the armour in terms of the silence at Talk TV. All presenters have been told they must say nothing about this, which is, of course, hugely ironic for the channel which used to be known as the home of free speech. But I have huge respect for Russell Quirk, a regular presenter on the station. He was a guest on the very first Plan for the Week. He is due back on Plan for the Week next week.
He's a fucking man.
And he's just said, I have to say something. I have to say something. And it is a powerful message. Watch this.
I have to say something. Jeremy Cow could go fuck off. I like this guy.
Okay,
I hope this guy. I hope you stick by Mike, because I quite like you.
Someone needs to talk about Mike Graham.
Thank you.
Now, look, I have a connection to Talk TV on the basis that for the last 5 or 6 years, I have been a contributor, I've been a guest.
And so was Andrew Walker and stuff as well a bit, yeah.
Lucky enough.
There's quite a few people who've got contacts with that.
80 shows. I've done about 50 shows on my own, covering for the likes
but
of
I quite like
you've
done this, so thank you.
Alex Phillips and so on. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah, but at least you've come out and said something. Not like Jeremy Kyle, he's a twat for that, mate. I'm sorry.
That qualifies me to make this video, albeit I'll be
but
clear.
He could have actually just said, look, I can't go into everything
I'm not party to
for the audience, for the people that are watching, mate, wondering what's going going on.
Talk, a lot less, not anything to do with talk, not any management decision.
Well, he could have asked Mike what he could say. He could ask the boss, you know, he can ask what he can say. He could ask Mike, couldn't he? Could he not phone Mike and ask Mike, look, I'm going on your show in the morning, I don't want to, you know, I want to be able to say something about you, viewers and everything.
You can be on air, but the restrictions, the rules and the regulations are very, very tight indeed. So talk to the View, understandably, rightfully, I think.
Well, don't go and talk now, mate. Don't work for them now. Quit.
My election campaign.
Quit.
But he is back on air now.
Quit and go with Mike and do fucking,
speaking out,
like you say,
could see him blacklisted from the station.
Like yourself.
But he says
now they could
morally,
quit. Now Jeremy Kyle and then they could have quit and made their own show together as an independent journalist. Well, you could quit. Make your own fucking show, mate.
There has been,
quit and make your own. You don't look like you're short of a few bobby. I'm not being funny, but none of these are short of money. None of these are short.
As a consequence of this debacle over this post that appeared on his social media, which he says was placed by somebody else by way of a hack.
I don't think Mike said that. Whether they're trying to say
the following, that he had an issue with the
fact that he might have said something silly about Tommy Robinson a long time, you know, about whatever, but I'm not going to use that against someone.
I'd like first of all to deal with what I think about that post.
Because Tommy Robinson also says things that I don't like about him at the moment.
Bearing in mind, Mike had his phone stolen about 2 weeks before that incident, so you know there is certainly some credibility to the belief that, as Mike has
and when I wrote to these people and told them what their plans are, like Dan Watson, that nobody can be bothered to speak back.
We had Calvin Robinson here on the show yesterday.
Because someone like me is not important, because I'm a little person.
TV who said, no, there's nothing
so my views don't matter.
And there's no way that Mike Graham should have been sacked, even if he did send it. Russell Quirk had more to say on this.
No, we shouldn't.
I guess I'll get into trouble. Because I don't believe that what Mike has done is incorrect in any way, particularly when you are the presenter, as Mike was, of the most successful show on that channel, the Breakfast Show from 6 till 10.
I think they could have just brushed it under the carpet, like they brush everything else under the carpet, don't you think? Why didn't you just brush it under the carpet like they brush everything else under the fucking carpet?
Now, on that basis...
And just swing it, and just say, well, you know... I was going to say sticks and stones will break people's bones, but he's not done anything wrong, and even... Okay, it might have been a silly joke he's put, I don't know, mate.
It's not a news channel as such, it's an opinion channel, and Mike, I think, has been, along with others, Julia, Jeremy, and Kevin and so on, have been the champions of that over many, many years.
And I do like Jeremy Kyle with that, and I did like them all together. But I'm not being funny, but Jeremy Kyle's a twat, a snake for what he's done, what he's doing.
About opinion, which also relates to something that is concerning.
And he can't be bothered to come and do what you're doing, mate.
In terms of,
as being a friend to Mike.
Part of that debate.
Yeah, you know, you're still meant to be a friend to somebody, though. Just because you work, you know.
That later on, then,
mind you, it's like my job. I don't take any, but you know, I wouldn't take anybody from my job to be friends ever again because it's easy, your friends.
Of course, and I also think there is an irony. And I know this to be true, that there has been nothing publicly said by Julia or Jeremy or Kevin or Mark. That doesn't sit well or comfortably.
Why?
Because it's like Mike Graham was the station. You cut him open, he
was
would
the big one in that.
And now he's just
and all of them should go if that's the case,
Russell
mate.
Quirk, in the
Why
statement, which I
don't
think
you
is
drop
probably
out
most
and
likely
do with Mike
to now
and do your
also
own
see
show?
him sacked by Talk, says that he believes the very survival of the station is at risk as a result of their handling of this incident. In fact, he believes it probably will not go on.
Commercial implications of firing.
And if he's got Talk, which I quite like Talk in GB News, I do quite like both of them. I think to me they've taken over what you call BBC and ITV. And I was hoping that they was not like going to be like BBC and ITV, but they're starting to be like that, man. Yeah, but it's starting to be like that.
News UK to get rid of someone that dares to say something that some people might.
Personally, I think you should all just drop out and make your own show with Mike.
If you look at the breakfast show,
make your show with Mike I was going to say,
ratings
make it
of
with
Harvard.
Mike, all of you,
If you
because
look
they
at
were all good
the
together
show
on the
that I
show,
am honoured
Plank of
to
the
be
Week
part
and
of. I
everything.
actually was on the
So
first
I think
ever
you should all
Plank of
drop
the
out
Week
as
show
well
6
and
years
do
ago.
that Plank
And I
of the
continue
Week,
to be
but
on
a
that
new
show,
version of Plank
or
of the Week.
was perhaps until this video, and have been for the last 5 or 6 years.
Alright, might not be able to call it
Next week,
Plank of the Week, because maybe the talk
yeah,
depends who's
it's,
made the name or
it just
whatever.
seems that the bosses at News UK, and I'm in News UK, and I don't know Rebecca Brooks and Scott and others. I don't know, never met them. I do
So you
know
might have to
the
think of
bosses,
another name to make the show
Claude
called.
Denny Morris, I think he's a thoroughly decent guy, by
But
the way.
I think
and
you should
will
still
probably
carry
be
on doing the
upset about
show.
what's going on here. However, I think the bosses have made a catastrophic mistake.
Yeah, I do.
commercially,
I think they're
but
fucked
also
up.
in terms of standing up for the
And I'm
rights
not
of free
saying it's
speech.
Jeremy
So on the
Kyle's
basis
fault,
that
I'm not
the
saying
Plank
it's
of the
any
Week
their
show that I was
fault.
just referencing has now seen its audience halve
Or
from
maybe they've been
300,000
told
to
strictly not to
150,000
say anything, or they'll be
because
fired.
of Mike Graham's absence.
Maybe.
And he showed
Maybe they've been told not to say fuck all, or they could be fired.
by Jeremy, I
Could
don't
they?
know. I don't think he knows yet, actually.
But then if that was the case,
the
I'd say, well, fire me then.
what's happened here.
I said, well,
I'm
actually,
afraid
you don't have to
I think
fire
that's
me,
a
I
big
walk
question
out.
mark,
I
not
quit.
over
Actually,
just
you don't have
the
to fire me
commercial
because I
viability
quit.
talk.
So before they
It's
said they're going to fire me, I
self-fulfilling
said
feature.
quit.
Whoa.
Because rather
So
not be fired,
Russell
rather
Quirk,
quit.
an
But
existing
then again,
presenter
rather not
on
quit,
tour,
rather be
says this is catastrophic. The station may not survive. It's very awkward.
Well,
I'm sure
I'm
it's
not
awkward
watching it
for
now
my
without
Superstar
Mike.
panel too, Nick Buckley and Sarah White, who
I'm
I saw
getting
just this
less
week
things to
on
watch
Talk.
now.
And of course, Talk in some ways is such a
I'm
force
going to
for
have nothing
good.
to watch.
But Nick,
I know.
do you understand why Russell
I like
Quirk
Plank of
has
the Week.
felt
I
he
miss
had
that
to speak
programme.
out here? I have to be
I
honest
miss
with
Mike
you.
on
I have
TV thing
huge
on the
respect
morning.
for him
I
doing
do,
so,
actually.
Nick, because one of the hardest, most
You
awful
know, I
things
do,
when you
yeah.
are cancelled, and of course you know what it's
I
like
think
to
a
be
lot of people
cancelled.
are missing in
I
the
know what it's
morning.
like to be cancelled. Is the fact that
'Cause he
people
is a bit
who,
like-
or your colleagues, your friends, for such a long period of time, just go silent and
Yeah.
sort of erase you. And I think we've
I think
got
that's
to
horrible,
start
man.
being braver. And I think
I
what we
think
just
that's
saw from Russell
horrible to
Quirk
erase your
was
friends like that.
reasonable,
People I've worked with.
but also actually surprisingly brave. You know,
I probably
to
had
speak
some
up
good
against your employers
conversations
like
and-
that is a big deal.
and whatever
he
with
knows
them,
the
then they
consequence
just do
might
that.
be that he then gets banned.
As if
from
they
Talk.
didn't
Absolutely, and
exist.
that's what we're missing in the country. It's a level of bravery. No one's brave anymore
Yeah,
now.
everyone's
And I get it to a
cowardly.
certain extent if you've got a mortgage to pay. And the people who don't, when you were sacked from GB News, no one spoke up. And the people that
No.
Calvin spoke up, and it cost him his slot on GB News. You know, we have to be braver because we're in a war at the
Yeah.
moment trying to save this country.
Yeah, and that's what
And if
I've
you're in
said.
a war, you
They're
need
cowards,
to be prepared
mate.
to take some hits.
Cowardly.
But people don't want to take
That's
that hit.
cowards,
And if you
man.
work for an employer, then of course you're at their beck and call. You've got to
Yeah,
do what they
and
say.
I'm just wondering if they've been told
And
to shut up about it and
places
not
like
speak about it,
GB
they'll be
News and
fired.
Talk TV have shown us
So
over the
that's
last couple of
bullying.
years that they are better than mainstream media, but they're nowhere near what we need as mainstream
Media. Well, that's
As
what
the
I've
mainstream.
just said. I've just said
for
I was
example,
replacing Talk
both of
and
you
GB News
are
with
now
mainstream
involved in
media.
Advance UK, Ben Habib's party,
And I do
and
think
he
Mike has got
is
that.
on a blacklist now. On both channels, actually,
He's on a
despite having
blacklist on
previously
both
been
channels.
one
That's
of
why
the
I've not
popular
seen
guests.
Ben
But
Levine.
Sarah White, you're not.
No, we've not seen Ben
You know,
Levine,
you
and I'm
still
not happy
remain
with that
a
Alex.
popular
That Alex
person
Phillips,
on
that
both
Philip
channels.
Alex, whatever a bloody
How do
fucking
you
name
feel
is.
about
Or
this
Julie.
sacking of Mike Graham and the
June
silence
Slater.
that has surrounded
Because I
it?
quite like them, and I think
I mean,
they've
it's
let
not
them
right, is it?
Ben
And,
Levine
you know,
put
hats
one
off
down.
to anyone who has the
Well, they
courage
damn
to
well
speak
have
out
love.
as well.
I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, it's not right
Right.
because
I
why would he
understand
give his
about
phone over?
reform,
We
but
see what
they...
happened with the police arresting Tommy Robinson. You know, you can't give your phone over when you've got information on there
And I'm
that
going to
could
say, use it, they're on the... Ben Levine's on
incriminate
Tom
somebody
Robinson's side.
else
They should be
or
on the same
leak
side.
your, you know, where you get
Reform
your
needs to be on
information
Rupert
from,
Lowe
and you're
and Ben
protecting
Levine's
certain
side.
people as well
You need to
because
be
they
with
might not want to
Rupert
be
Lowe
in the
and Ben
public eye.
Levine.
And you can't trust these people that look into your documents either, because we know that
Because I like her
you know,
as an MP
stuff
and
goes
things,
missing
as well,
all
because
the
she's the
time
same
and
as us, she's
evidence
not...
has gone missing. And
She's
so
dressed
yeah,
the
I don't
same
think
sort
that they've
of
done
type of
themselves
thing
any
as
favours
myself.
getting rid
I
of
mean,
Mike Graham.
maybe bit, when she
at the
gets a
end of
bit
the
more
day,
money, she might dress a bit.
their viewings
We might
have
dress a bit
halved.
better, but
And
what I'm saying is,
did he really do
she's dressed
anything wrong? He hasn't
normal.
been found guilty of doing
Of
anything
course,
wrong.
not
It's
like.
just hearsay at the end of the
I was
day.
gonna
And
say
like
not.
he said, his phone was stolen 2 weeks prior.
Yes,
Isn't
and
it? You're not guilty until proven guilty?
Of course,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you know,
innocent
News
until
UK
fucking proven guilty.
decided that
Why
the
have you
post
sacked
was
him already?
vile and
Nah,
abhorrent.
what vileness?
But actually, are we allowed to have a conversation about the fact that this mass immigration means that if you are a white person, you are becoming a minority? I mean, literally, Nick.
Well, there isn't any
if
white
you are in
people,
London
he's
as a
right.
white person, you are a minority.
Yeah, there's more black people
Is
and
that not a
Asian
conversation
people
we're
than
allowed
there is
to
of
have?
white people.
Should
That's
be,
not just in London,
but
that's
don't
in
forget,
Bury,
we're
Manchester
still
and
not
everywhere
allowed to
now.
have that in certain circles. And
I
obviously,
mean, there's
Talk
like
TV is
certain
now one of
little
those
pockets
circles we're
of
not allowed to have
England
this conversation.
and Britain
Just
where
because you
they
work
still
for
have
an
to
employer,
have just
all
English
you're
white
doing is
people, but
selling
there's not
so
very
many
many.
hours a day to that person. And while you're working for them, of course, you've got to do as you're told because you've just sold yourself for so many hours every day.
Yeah.
When you're not in work, then what does that have to do with your employer?
Nothing.
Breaking right now, extraordinary developments in the British bashing corporation's
the best to say.
almighty fraudulent row with the US President Donald Trump. Because in the past hour, since we've come on air, the Daily Telegraph, which of course was the first to blow the whistle on this doctored panorama speech, which has seen Trump now sue the BBC for £1 billion, or at least threaten to, $1 billion, or at least threaten to, unless the BBC apologises and sufficiently provides damages, I'm told something like $15 million by 10 p.m. UK time on Friday. They're going to be in deep, deep doo-doo. The Guardian reporting today that the BBC is indeed ready to apologise to Donald Trump, who has gone out via his White House chief spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, describing the organisation as, what were the exact words? A leftist propaganda machine. Yep, couldn't have put it better myself. But as I say, things have just got a hell of a lot worse because Panorama was not a one-off. The Daily Telegraph's Daily Tea podcast has this hour revealed that Newsnight, the hard left broadcast Newsnight, also doctored a Trump speech and concerns were ignored by the corporation. So this is an extraordinary new development. I'm going to be learning about this at exactly the same time as you. Likewise, my superstar panel, Sarah White and Nick Buckley. So let's look at this brand new reporting on this deepening scandal, and we'll give you our first reaction. Watch this.
At Newsnight, in which they were discussing the congressional hearings into Donald Trump's role in the January 6th riots.
We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're
At least he's got balls. Keir Starmer's a coward. He's got no fucking balls. He's a bastard.
And we're going to cheer on
Like King Charles, he's a fucking mopping bastard as well. He's got no balls. He's a coward as well. Mummy's boy. Cry baby.
And the footage then cuts
Spoiled
immediately
bastard.
to scenes of people fighting.
And it cuts seamlessly.
Yeah, and I don't like you either.
As if Fight Like Hell came immediately
Yeah, you're a
after
fucking
the initial
witch as
statement,
well.
when in fact it came 54
Yeah, I used to like you, but
brings
don't
in
anymore.
Two contributors to
Two-faced
react to
bitch.
the footage and to speak about the whole story. One of them is Kadia Gober. She's a politics reporter for
Whatever.
BuzzFeed. She was on the ground at the time of the Capitol riots that
Was
day.
she?
And then they also speak to Mick Mulvaney, who was Donald Trump's chief of staff from 2019 to 2020.
Your video, and I'm no apologist for the president.
No, I'm not suggesting you are. I'm not suggesting you are.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is that
your video actually spliced together the presentation. He said we're going to go down and we're going to cheer on our senators and our House members, and then it actually goes on to saying some of them we might not be able to. And that line about we fight and fight like hell is actually later in the speech. Yet your video makes it look like those two things came together. That's the type of That's the type of messaging here that so many people in my country find frustrating, is that it's hard to actually get the facts.
Now, crucially, what also makes this worse, Tim, is that we have spoken to a whistleblower who worked on Newsnight at the time that recalled this. We spoke to David Chaudroy during the week to find out what happened the following day when he attended, along with others, an editorial meeting.
Then in the editorial the next day, one producer said, how did that go out? Why did that happen? And the editorial editor, not the VT editor, kind of brushed it off. And I thought that was extraordinary that something like that had gone out, but it was the BBC, and when you're in that milieu, you kind of don't question things. I'm just there for the graphics, that's what I do. They don't really listen to you.
This is extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. Because, of course, up until this point, Sarah White, the BBC have been able to hide behind this idea, well, the Panorama documentary was made by an external production